Hello everyone, Turner Burner here with another video for you guys. What I'm going to go over in this video is the best card setups for Horde and Escape for Demolitions. Escape can be kind of tricky if you don't know the maps that well, or if you think you absolutely need a Tactician, which for Escape, Tactician is a superior class overall because you get the explosive resupply. But there are maps to where I would say you don't necessarily need a tactician, and then the maps that you do have a tactician or the games that you're involved in, the demolitions can be a very very valuable teammate. So let's do Horde because it's easier to explain as far as the demolitions value, and I'm also going to talk about boss rush a little bit as well. So let's get right into it. So if I were to join a random lobby, I'm gonna go over a couple different stacks. So if I were to join a random lobby, which for Horde I would never do, but if I were to join a random lobby, I would say I would do this: Razor Hell, Custom Boom, Custom GL, Officers, and Concussive. So if you watch my last demolitions video a while ago, we went over the passive is you can mark up to 5 targets and marks last twice as long. So this is important because you can like what you may have seen me do in Boss Rush. You may see me mark a carrier and then run somewhere, mark another carrier, and then use my ultimate. And that bleed damage, allows me to get my ult quicker. So that's a strategy you can use moving forward as far as wanting to get your alt back. You want to use the passive in conjunction with obviously the cards you're using. Mark as many enemies as you can, then use your ultimate. Obviously, you can't always mark 5 targets at once, but you should never only be marking one at once, or almost never, unless an enemy like a matriarch or a warden is threatening to end the game and they're like rushing to your base, and you need to like stun it or use your ultimate to kill it real fast. That would be an exception, but for the most part, and most of my gameplay is in boss rush. But for the most part, you want to try to mark 2 bosses at once. If you're doing a 1 to 50 and it's wave 45 sentinels, if you ult one sentinel when you have this passive, you might lose the match because of it. There are a few situational awareness examples to where maybe one sentinel is like glitched or something and one's rushing. Then you can only mark one and that's it. But for the most part, the sentinels kind of are come together to destroy as almost two teammates. They're very rarely like super far apart. Well, in the context of they're not like it's not like one's going to be on your screen and the other is not going to be on your screen for the most part. At least in my experience, I'm sure there are outliers or people that have different experience, but the gist of what I'm trying to say is you should be able to mark two things at once, fairly easily. The days of needing, like running spotter support and needing your teammate to mark the other target, those days are over. A JD or demolitions player can mark 2 things at once, which also allows you to, if you have concussive on, it's scions, you can stun them both and then get your ult quicker because, typically when you when you kill an enemy and it's still bleeding, it helps you charge your next ult. So that's also something similar to Blade Master, where it's like if you're running Shock Chain and a bunch of enemies are still bleeding when you're out of your ultimate, it allows you to charge your next ultimate. So it's almost like double dipping, but it's a feature in the game, so you might as well take advantage of it. So for the most part, I'd say for regular horror, regardless of what type. I know there's a bunch of options, but regardless of what type you're doing, you should be able to get your ult pretty often in a 1 to 50, frenzy, or definitely boss rush. So just get in the habit of doing that. So I know that's very basic and simple, but it can be overlooked in the context of especially boss rush. So I find myself marking and hitting Y more than just GL spam, because of the nature of the perks and whatnot. So anyway, moving forward, the bottom line mark more than 2 targets at once. So this is what I would say for the card stack if I was in a random lobby. Typically, when I play, if it's a regular horde match, it's the goal is typically to bomb it. So that's something me and then most of Smudge, who's typically the tactician I play with. What we run when that's going on is I take off. I'm actually trying to remember. I think I take off concussive, put on confirmed, and then I put on spotter support instead of officers. This is my stack if I am running with a tactician. Custom Boom, Custom GL, obviously Razor Hell, it's a given. Spotter support and confirm. And this is typically the stack I run for most custom matches if I'm running Demolitions. Because some of the custom escape hives, I should say. Because there's so many enemies in a map that it's easier to bomb 20 or so enemies, 15, 10, depending, just to get through sections faster. And then one alt literally helps the next alt because of the nature of confirmed kill. So now there's like a glitch when you're dealing with customs. If you get too many kills with your ultimate, it glitches out, but none of you do customs. Well, at least I don't think you do, so you don't have to worry about that glitch. It's really my problem, probably more than anything else. But confirmed kill will help you get your next ult. It has to be an actual kill with the airstrike. The bleeding that you get from the airstrike will help charge it because of the nature of bleeding. But the confirmed kill, as far as in the context of the card, it has to be the kill from the airstrike, relative to what the kill feed would look like. You guys have, who've played Demolitions know what I'm talking about when you see the airstrike symbol in the kill feed. That symbol or that type of kill helps your recharge your ultimate. So anyway, so that would be the gist as if so I gave you 2 examples where if I join a random lobby and if I'm bombing it, with a tactician. So that's the gist of it. If the tactician, for some reason, is not running interrogation, I probably would just revert back to the first stack because this first stack is good enough as it is. I might still run spotter support if I have teammates that mark a lot. Or sometimes there's a blade master that's far away in a certain corner to where I can't see a snatcher or something like that, and maybe they'll mark it, and then I can mark the targets that I can see and then use your ultimate. So spotter support is still a good card to use almost regardless, but it just depends on how you want to play or how you care to play. So that's the gist I would probably say between the 2 stacks and the 2 options. Obviously, there are more options you could do. I know something I've already mentioned is Bullet Boost is a card that is okay if it works correctly, but it's insane because it's insane right now because it actually helps your bleed. I have to figure out the exact way I would do a test on that, but the gist of it is if I were to get, let me just show you how it reads. Bullet Boost, explosive bleed kills gives plus 50% ballistic damage for 15 seconds. So how it's supposed to work is if you get a kill, for 15 seconds you get extra damage, and I believe it goes up to 200%. So it's similar to Blade Dancer in that regard if you guys are Blade Master players. So you get the kill and then you get extra damage with sniper rifle or snub lancer. You get extra ballistic damage. That's for 15 seconds. Theoretically, when I was trying to solo Onslaught, note speedrun as Demolitions, I had this card on because I wanted to kill Bastions. But what I realized is if I got a grenade kill on an enemy and then I threw a grenade at something else and then switched to a sniper rifle or a weapon that has, that would give ballistic damage, it increases my bleed. I can't remember the exact numbers, but you'd have to watch the Demolition Onslaught run to kind of see, the difference here and there. I have to figure out the exact test I want to do, but the gist of it is you get a bleed kill and you switch to a ballistic for the future kills. It'll help your bleed for 15 seconds after that initial kill. So up to 200% depending on how much kills you continue getting. So I realized when I use the Boss Rush, I'm getting way better damage with airstrikes and killing wardens and things of that nature. So very very useful card. Again, I don't have an official test yet to definitely show you, but basically as of right now, it's a card you definitely want. Well, you can use if you want the extra bleed. Is it critical? Is it even in the top five as far as a stack? For the most part, no. But if you're going to be, I would say it's useful if you're definitely doing boss rush. But if you're doing other horde modes, it wouldn't make your top five in general. So boss rush, yes. Other stuff, probably not. But and also if you're trying to do solo runs in escape, yeah, it's definitely useful. So just keep that in mind for your future runs. Give it a test if you want to test it for yourself. But yeah, bullet boost helps your bleed, which is already 30%. Wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what the bleed goes up to when it's in effect. So anyway, moving on. So we're gonna move on to escape. Um, so I like demo for escape a lot. Heavily underrated in my opinion. I would probably say middle of the road as far as escape is concerned. But as you can see here, this I just did a custom map the other day, so this is my stack. Just to be consistent with customs. I ran with a tactician that had interrogation, and then we bombed the map a few times. So, but depending on the map, depending on the context, depending on if it's a solo run, you may do things differently. So, on my solo on the split, let me go over what I ran. So, on the split, plenty of frags, plenty of red boxes. JD has his ultimate, plenty of stuff to actually solo the map, evidently, because obviously I did it some time ago. But the custom boom and custom GL is what makes, or one of the reasons why it makes it so possible. Obviously, all the frags make it possible too. So, if you're trying to solo the split, and I'm gonna go over a few different options. Here is actually I'll probably just do one other custom boom, custom GL, and Razor Hell. So if you're gonna do the split, you would do grenade satchel, and then you do officers. Now, granted, officers is iffy on the split because it's sometimes the ultimate. Well, really, I should say officers' prerogative is really iffy indoors. It doesn't really work well in certain hives. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. And the split, it's the most iffy. So maybe you would swap out officer's prerogative for bullet boost, or even concussive. So maybe that's better because the ultimate is iffy at best. It's really good if you're on the LZ because you're outside, but besides that, you'll probably end up using custom GL or custom boom to kill the sentinels or guardian. So I know before the safe room in my solo run, I had no problem ulting both guardians and all the DR1s. So concussive or bullet boost is probably the best way to go in this regard. Concussive can work really well if you're trying to ult the DR1s. That way they just stand still for about for 11 seconds and they don't rush you, because the overkill can blast you from pretty far away. So if you're not careful, so if I was doing the split, this is what I would do. If I was doing a map like the line, I soloed that as well. Possibly the same stack, except there's no boom or GL. So what I would definitely do is bullet boost, and I think by default I have to go officer's prerogative. The ultimate works pretty well on the line. I haven't really had any problems with scions. It's really the flyers that I have problems with indoors, but not much else. So this is what I would do if I was running the line again, or at least what I did the other two times I ran the line as demolitions. I believe so anyway. So you just have to pay attention to what weapons are available on a map. If there's boom shot, if there's salvo, if there's drop shot, if there's Lancer GL, you based off of that, you can decide what cards to use. If I literally did every single hive, because of the nature of demolitions and the flexibility of it, I would probably have like 10 different stacks relative to each hive. So you just have to, be cognizant of what's available, what classes, for instance, if there's a tactician that's already in the line, it could be good if you guys are on the same page. Maybe he gets the torque bow and you get the frags and you get the first drop shot, whatever. But it may be a distraction if you're just taking, red boxes or frags and he needs to charge his ult. So some maps, I'd say Demolitions, you'd be better off not having a tactician, and some maps you need a tactician just to get the resupply. It just depends on how much explosives by nature are available. See, when I did Demolitions, no speed run on Onslaught, where I was doing an LZ fight, because it tends to be, since the enemies only come from one direction, it tends to be the best defensive option for most, or for at least half the characters I've done it with. So since I know exactly where they're gonna come from, and they're not gonna be hiding or anything like that. So long story short, the reason that solo works is because salvo scions bring salvos to me. Frag poppers bring frags to me. If I were to use breaker mace, a warden would theoretically bring a breaker mace to me. So because there's enough explosive and weapons being brought to me, that solo works. So just pinpoint different demolitions options that I've done. Lethal engagements, Ice Queen, the split's a good one, the line, and then based off of that, you can dictate what is the best card options you can use. So it's not as straightforward as I probably would like it to be. That way I could just give you one card stack for both Horde and Escape. But the game's not straightforward. So anyway, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions or if I was unclear, because I know I can kind of get going because I really like this class. But if I was unclear on anything, comment below, let me know. And as always, thanks for listening. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next video. You guys have a good one. Peace.